Hey, what's happening guys, Chris here, and the MP7 is going to be the highlight for this Battlefield Hardline weapon guide. It's one of the new weapons that came alongside the Robbery DLC, though you don't have to own the DLC to use it. It's very versatile and doesn't have any class or faction restrictions, so you can roll with it on pretty much any loadout or any team. Costing $36,000, the MP7 is a PDW, or personal defense weapon, meaning it's lightweight and has got more in common with the SMGs. It's a nimble little bugger that can tear up opposing players quite easily. So, as for the weapon's good points, a fairly obvious one to point out will be the MP7's fire rate. Firing at 950 RPM, the gun is fast, maybe not blisteringly quick like the K10, but fast enough to get the job done without much of a fuss. This speedy little weapon can make short work of enemies on the receiving end of it, down to the larger numbers of bullets you're capable of flinging out at them, making the MP7 an ideal spraying gun at closer ranges, and an effective gun to hip fire. Something else that the MP7 has that'll really help you out in the heat of battle is its pretty sizey 41 bullet magazines. This is a bit of a boost and should mean that you'll be able to take on multiple targets one after the other a little bit easier, as you won't have to reload as much in between kills, and you're not going to get caught out quite as much. Now, although the MP7 is a PDW, it can be used with any class. The recoil pattern shows a similar sort of movement to what the mechanic submachine guns have. It's got an upwards bounce of 0.25, a leftwards kick of 0.2, and a rightwards kick of 0.4. So we can see here that the gun's mainly going to drift to the right. The overall pattern isn't too high really, so you should be able to hit your targets fairly easily. Though do take that rightwards movement into account when you're using the MP7. I wouldn't really count the recoil pattern as a pro or con here, as it's manageable, but there are quite a few other easier weapons to handle in Hardline. Anyway, with all the main good points done and dusted, it's time to go over some of the MP7's negative factors. There's nothing really ridiculously bad about the gun, but there are a few things that are weaker in comparison with other weapons of a similar category. One of these things is the gun's overall damage. The range isn't too bad, but the MP7 isn't exactly a powerhouse. With a maximum damage of 20 at 20 meters and a minimum damage of 10 at 40 meters, the gun's fairly weak when compared to some of the others. But don't worry, because that fast fire rate should back you up. It's going to take 5 bullets under 20 meters, but it'll take up to 10 bullets to kill up to 38 meters. Because the weapon fires quickly though, you should be able to get those 5 to 10 bullets out in a short amount of time. Another thing I should point out is the MP7's reload time. It'll take about 3.16 seconds to perform a reload with an empty clip, and a shorter time of 2.6 seconds when you still have some bullets left over. So, not very quick. Although there are guns that take longer to reload, like the FMG9, the MP7 isn't all that far away. If you're going to reload, make sure you don't do it in the middle of a gang of enemy players. So, swiftly moving on to the attachments, I can't really go on too much about the attachment combinations here, as you can't use any grips with the MP7, but you can still use muzzles. So if I was going to decide on which one, the muzzle brake is a decent fit. It'll drop that lateral recoil down the most, and because that's going to be your main problem with that 0.4 rightwards drift, that's the main thing really that needs improving to balance out the gun and make it easier to use. You could try slapping the heavy barrel on there, though you'll have that movement penalty to deal with too. And with the MP7 being a weapon that's better suited for run and gun situations, it might cause you more problems than it should. Well, all in all, the MP7 is one of those guns that can give you that much needed speed to take out players in closer proximities. Because you can use it on any class or with any faction, it makes it a great gun to bring along to the battlefield at any time you want. The damage is fairly weak, but the fire rate should be able to compensate for this. Plus you'll also have a few more bullets with each clip to help chain together some kills without the need to reload all the time. Though when you do need to reload, just be aware of the time that you'll be spending faffing around with those magazines, as it's not that fast and you might get shot whilst you do it, if you choose to reload in the wrong place at the wrong time. Anyway, that's the end of this guide. Make sure you hit that like button if you enjoyed it, and if you haven't already, subscribe to see loads more on Battlefield Hardline and loads of other games too. Take it easy, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.